When we were talking about youth offending place-based initiatives, Minister, as I'm sure you'll know, it's music to my ears to see, to hear that there is funding in the budget for these place-based initiatives, and we've had a number of conversations over the last couple of years when I was Mayor of Glenorchy about the need for measures to address behaviour now, not waiting for the action plan from the Youth Justice Blueprint to be finalised. So I appreciate that funding allocation.
Advocacy.
I guess in terms of the consultation and who's at the table, now that I'm not at the table in those conversations, I trust the new Mayor of Glenorchy is equally as strong an advocate as I was for this and bringing the local organisations together. But are you able to share any further detail on who is going to be potentially involved in a place-based initiative in Glenorchy and when it's likely that a program will be finalised for delivery? I'm just conscious we are already 3 months into the financial year.
As I understand, the department is meeting with in these different communities where there's been a need and a local will to do something identified. They're working with everyone they can find who has insights into who the young people involved are. We're not necessarily applying a standard process or invite list. From the discussions that I've had with the team and that we've had with people like police over the years, once you get down to a local level, the locals know a handful of individuals or families who are involved at the core and their circumstances, and who they have connections with or who may be able to provide part of the solution. So that's what we're in the process of mapping out now, and it might be quite different in each community that we go into who ends up being a critical driver of the change that we're looking for. So our hope would be that we can provide some resources and some coordination of services so that we can address not only what are the drivers, but who are the drivers of the antisocial behaviour and offending in those localities, and apply the best tools that we've got to each of them. Hopefully for some of those young people, helping them to not end up becoming statistics in the youth justice system, but applying diversions for them that help them to not offend, but also provide through the community re-engagement with education, other supports and activities in their community for the young people who may have been influenced by those who have been leading the offending behaviour. That'll be driven very much by the place, and we'll learn everything we can from that and apply that to what we design as a service response for the longer term. But at this stage, the discussions are still underway to sort of identify the dimensions of the issue and the patterns of behaviour and how best to intervene, involving schools, police, councils, and all sorts of things.
One of the reasons I ask is just on the way here this morning, I was having a conversation on the phone with the new team leader at the Salvation Army in Glenorchy, Steve Woods, who's very enthusiastic and wants to use this wonderful space that is right there in the centre of Glenorchy and underutilised in after-school hours. And is keen to open it up as a youth space, but said, Bet, can you help us get some funding for a youth worker? So I'm sure they'll be involved, hopefully, at the table, and I know council's engaged with the Salvation Army, so hopefully this funding can assist with those sorts of resources. But will it be, it is youth offending place-based initiatives, and we've talked about the need for addressing the behaviour at the pointy end and providing diversionary activities and programs to support young people who are engaged in the youth justice system, but also equally as important is preventing kids who are maybe on the fringes of engaging in that behaviour and providing them with other
Yep.
opportunities, which is where a youth space is really
Yep.
important. So will this funding be specifically for those, that small number of young people who are offending, or will it also include an element of that early intervention prevention to prevent more kids going down that path?
The amount of money we've got is limited, and it's time limited. What we want to be able to do is to apply a bit of a case management approach to the locality, but also some of the individuals involved as well. Certainly it involves supports and other things for young people to do, but our money would disappear in a heartbeat if we set about just funding more of a range of services that already exist in different forms, or upgrading facilities, etc., and not necessarily go to the core of the offending behaviour. What we really want to be able to do when we've got, say, police who are in a situation where they're aware of young people who are involved in antisocial behaviour and offending, they're a little bit limited by the tools that are available to them. Sometimes our community youth justice service can only really swing into action once young people have crossed a threshold into their offending. We want to bring that together and work out how we can put more tools available to both of those services and all of the other partners in that community that they rely on to try and turn around some of those young people who are driving the behaviour. Certainly that needs to be complemented by more things to engage and work with the young people in that locality more broadly, but we do want to be able to focus on the drivers of the offending. We often hear very small numbers of young people are involved. We need to be able to deal with those. We may need to do that in a way that we can focus on those small numbers of people and make a big difference to them, which will have a ripple effect in the community.
Okay.
We don't want to create the expectation that we're going to be able to fund lots and lots of organisations to do more of the services they already provide. We just won't have the capacity for that. However, as a government and as government agencies, we do value the work that they do, and there are various avenues for supporting their work and the services they provide in the community, not necessarily from this time-limited budget.
Yeah. Okay. And that's what I guess I'm keen to have some more conversations with you and the team about
coordinated.
What those funding avenues are, and that's certainly what I committed to Steve when I spoke to him this morning about if there's not funding specifically in this budget, then there may be other avenues that we can explore seeking grants, because the Salvation Army currently doesn't in Glenorchy receive funding for youth activities. They've got a wonderful facility there to be able to offer that, and that early intervention is critical if we are to nip this problem in the bud and stop the need for youth these services at the pointier end in the longer term.
And there's lots of organisations that provide really excellent support for young people and families in these communities. I suppose where we would want to go is to work out what do the young people themselves who are at risk of falling into offending, what is their need? What does it look like? Is it could be the availability of a space or a service like that. It could be more to do with bus scheduling and routes and their ability to access sporting facilities and things like that, which gives them another outlet and another group of people and thing to belong to.
Yeah, well, certainly young people who I've spoken to in my 6 years as an elected member at council and in and around the community have said that a safe space to go and people that they trust to talk to is what has been missing.
We won't ignore any of that.
So, it's really important, and I feel like that I've got a little win, here after a couple of years of these conversations to see this money in the budget. So I'm happy to keep hassling you about the other stuff too, and maybe in next budget's forthcoming, we'll see.
And I'm happy for you to pass on the details of particular people and organisations who you think can be part of that solution.
Yeah,
Definitely. Thanks.
great.
So I just take a step back.